All right. Thank you, RDH, for inviting us to participate in this and for the continued collaboration in pursuing excellence in mass timber. This presentation applies to during and after construction in all climates. And VaproShield has had the privilege of working on many mass timber buildings for quite a long time. And we're going to be talking about protecting mass timber by minimizing wetting, maximizing drying, and using permeable membrane system solutions with rain screen geometry for deflection, drainage, drying, and durability, as you all have heard many times. All of this is on our website, resources for mass timber, but quickly I'll show you some of our experience. Here's a project in Oregon and one in upstate New York with Lend-Lease, and did many of those with them. This one here is transitioning to Atlanta, Georgia. And these are over the last 5 or 6 years or so, and beautiful project there. Many different climates as well. Here's in Colorado in 2018. And then Tacoma, Washington, Joint Base Lewis McChord and Catalyst project with Katera, rest in peace. And I'll go through these a little bit more quickly here. Currently up in Cleveland, Ohio, the Intro project, and then down in Miami with Chris and Shauna Meyer at University of Miami. Now, it's of course a work in progress, and but we've learned a few things along the way that I'd like to share with you today. And how have we learned? By getting our hands dirty, getting out there in R&D. That was actually the JBLM project in Tacoma, Washington, using our Slope Shield Plus membrane. This is some of our R&D outside of our skunk works in the Gig Harbor area. And of course, by collaborating with wonderful people that have also are passionate about mass timber as we are. And so we invite you to collaborate with us and continue this journey. RDH was very kind to work with us to help produce this mass timber building enclosure design guide, which is available on our website or theirs and through this this event as well. Here's some of the information you will find in there, which I won't dwell on, but I did mention the 4Ds briefly, which is a good way of describing rain screen technology. But I do want to emphasize the importance of having moisture vapor permeable membranes with wood, whether it's on the flat or on the walls. Despite our best laid plans, we need to account for weather and microclimates as well. And during sunny days, we want to plan in advance on how to protect these, not just let it fall to necessarily the contractor on the field, but consider Division 1 specifications for protection of the floors as they go up. We need to protect the wood and the beauty. And of course, mass timber is growing, and as it does, it gains considerable exposure. If any of you have done any mountaineering and climbing, you may know what that term means, and we need to protect them, of course. And wood, as it gets wet, we all know, whether it's regardless of the type of precipitation, when it gets wet, it shouldn't stay that way, at least for very long. We want to help it dry out, but we want to also protect it from, protect it from water in the first place. So it's really important that we use permeable materials when we do this, permeable membranes. Here's some examples of what can happen when it may not be protected as well as it could be. And of course, you have foot traffic and equipment, heavy equipment on it, and the higher they get, of course, this can become a safety issue as well. And of course, mass timber's up in place, it makes it more difficult to remediate these. Not impossible, but the larger the buildings get, the more this has an effect on the labor advantage that mass timber brings to the market. And what happens when wood can't dry through the membranes that we're using to protect it? You can see the clouding that's happened there. Well, it can damage the wood, and this is also something that we go into in the timber design guide, and we're doing ongoing research to show the importance of this. And here's some research we did several years ago with B Engineering, also in the Seattle area, to show the importance of permeability for wood. And here's an example of a model of a 50,000 square foot project and how much moisture vapor can diffuse through that building envelope. The bottom line is that higher perms allow for faster drying, and this is really important. You can see that 1,400 gallon difference between when you use a lower perm membrane with a primer and only 50 gallons. And this is over about a week period of time. So this is avoidable, and it can even be minimized or eliminated. And I'll show you how. Are tape joints enough? Well, remember I mentioned the climate. Maybe in Arizona in the summertime on a 2-story building, but once it gets higher buildings and up into more wet climates, then we really have to consider our protection. Concrete has a hard time keeping up, and that's been something that's been used, but really it's not appropriate for water protection in our opinion. Now, some of the tape joints also have these big holes in them, right? The posts happen to fall right there at those locations oftentimes as well, so we have to address those and account for that as well. Bottom line is we want to minimize that risk and exposure to moisture, and this has to do with the roofs and the floors as they go up. Here's another graphic from the design guide that we encourage you to look at. This also applies this approach to steep slope or to low slope applications, which we've both had considerable experience with, but it takes account to the latest technology of permeable roof protection, which keeps the water out but allows it to dry. And we also use techniques for overhangs to do this. We also want to consider ground level protection and groundwater. End grain on mass timber is particularly susceptible, and you find these, of course, at corners and at perimeters of roofs and floors. So we want to overhang that membrane to make sure that that does well. And of course, architectural overhangs can help as well on the roof. Here's just a corner protection. Another example, this is in Austin, Texas. And I'm going to skip through these fairly quickly here, but these are some examples of some of the protection and some of the ways that we protect mass timber as it goes up. Now the post column detailing, remember those big holes? Christmas tree is the best way to remember that. We want permeable membranes and then a Christmas tree skirt underneath that. And then I also want to encourage off-site membrane installation and protection, or on-site before it goes up, and this is a great way that we can help the industry to grow and protect with dryable wall and roof protection. I encourage you to go to our website and to also visit RDH's website to find more solutions for mass timber. Thank you very much.